Back-to-back, FIU women's tennis delivers a second conference championship to campus.
A playoff push for both the Cats and the Heat underway. We recap each game, one for either squad.
And Jorge Masvidal visits his home city prior to his hyped-up fight against Nate Diaz. All this and more on the Sideline. Good morning, South Florida. Welcome to the Sideline, the place where you get all your highlights for your South Florida teams. I'm Anthony Milian.
And I'm Jamie Nunez, and the Sideline starts now. The FIU women's tennis team had an exciting weekend at their Conference USA tournament. Hosted at their home on their new tennis courts, the FIU Panthers clinched back-to-back championships.
Sideline's Kamora Miller has more on the historic moment.
Hosting the Conference USA tournament, the FIU women's tennis team. With a soft unveiling of the new Pay Cargo Tennis Center, these ladies are fired up as they are stated for the #1 seed.
We've been very, very happy to watch them play. From the beginning of the season, we knew this was going to be a special season. So this is all just culminating to this point, and we're looking forward to keep going.
Yeah.
Honestly, I've been there almost for every games, and the team is really nice, like really, really good. They're really strong, and yeah, I hope they're gonna win the championship. I mean, they deserve it because they were like really constant during like all of the semester. So now, like, it's just the last step.
And the ladies did just that, competing against the University of Texas El Paso and the #2 seed, Liberty University. The FIU Panthers get a back-to-back win for the Conference USA title, but the job is not done yet.
Right now we're looking forward to the NCAA. The season hasn't ended for us. We want to go like really far. But if we win NCAA, we get stands there. So we do have our next goal in sight. We're looking forward as always.
We're always giving 100%, so it's going to be if we have it or not that day. I know that the girls are going to do whatever it needs to be done to win this first round.
Yeah. All the tears, the blood, the sweat that we've put in throughout the whole season and also in the fall finally paid off, and we really performed on a good level today, and I think this is a really huge win for everyone. Incredible experience to be able to win conference at home. Is something we're looking forward to next year.
The FIU Panther community is excited to be a part of this historic moment for the FIU women's tennis team. The ladies move on and are determined to get another title. My name's Kamora Miller, reporting for Caplin News.
The 2023-2024 season looks to be wrapping up soon for the Heat after a demoralizing loss in Boston yesterday. Undermanned and without its star player Jimmy Butler, the team never built any true momentum on the day. Bam Adebayo led the Heat with 24 points but got no real help around him as Tyler Hero once again struggled to score. The Celtics cruised to a 114-94 victory behind 23 points from Jason Tatum.
The best playoffs, the NHL playoffs, are here, and Florida's very own are facing off in round 1. The Panthers hosted the Lightning, and Florida made sure to strike first. However, both teams left the first period all tied up following a goal from Tampa's Brandon Hagel. Neither team put one in the net during the second, but Carter Verhaeghe scored a power play goal at the start of the third, and with 2 minutes left, Matthew Tkachuk sealed the game with an empty net goal. The Panthers went on to take Game 1 3-2. Game 2 will be in Amerit Bank tomorrow at 7:30.
The Marlins closed out a 4-game series in the Windy City with a win against the Chicago Cubs. The game started with Jesus Sanchez cracking a home run ball in the second inning before Miami surged to a 3-run lead by the fourth. While the Cubs mounted a comeback, the Marlins stayed ahead to grab their second win of the series in Chicago. Final score, Marlins 6, Chicago 3. Miami visits Atlanta to face the Braves starting tonight.
The return home for Inter Miami was a sweet one after handling Nashville SC for the 5th win of the MLS season. The last time these two teams faced was in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, where Inter Miami emerged victorious. The same thing took place on Saturday as stars Lionel Messi and Sergio Busquets crushed in 3 goals. The final score was Inter Miami 3, Nashville 1. The club goes back on the road to play New England next Saturday. The NFL draft is the best time for nerds like myself who love to overanalyze picks. And today we have a fellow nerd with us, Zeth Leon, our NFL draft analyst, joining us on the desk today. Zeth, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How about you guys?
Pretty good, Zeth. I'll start it off very simply for you. The NFL draft is on Thursday. The first round begins. And obviously, we've heard the hype. Big quarterbacks coming in. You have guys like Drake May, Caleb Williams. J.J. McCarthy's been an interesting prospect. But my first question for you today is, out of all the prospects that are projected to go in the first round, who's the one that has caught your eye the most?
I mean, this might be a basic answer, but I'm going to go Jaden Daniels just for the simple fact that, some rumors have been coming out recently about him not wanting to go to certain places. And I think, Caleb Williams is pretty locked in at number 1. So I think after that is when the draft really starts. It's going to be interesting to see, what happens after that, if there's going to be any movement. There's been some rumors about Daniels or May going to the Commanders, but I want to see what happens after the Caleb Williams pick.
Zeth, definitely a lot of questions about where these quarterbacks are going to be heading out, but for the local team, the Miami Dolphins, where do you see them, what direction are they heading, would you say, in their first round pick? This is going to be Mike McDaniel's first, selection in the first round in his tenure with the Dolphins.
Yeah, well, as we know, Chris Greer is not afraid to make moves, and their pick is going to depend on what happens when it gets to them. But if Chris Greer sees someone start to fall down the board that he likes, he's not going to be afraid to make a move and go up there and get the guy. And same thing, if maybe no one that he likes is there, once it gets to him, he might move back in the draft. So, I would look for the Dolphins to address the trenches, because that's what Chris Greer said. So I'm gonna trust what he told us, that he's gonna address the trenches. So I would look for him to go O-line or D-line in the first round, if he makes a pick. But it all depends on what happens once he gets there. But Chris Greer is not afraid to pull the trigger and make a move.
I agree with you. My 3 big prospects for Miami, I like Xavier Worthy from Texas. I know we obviously have Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill as our wide receivers, but the Dolphins truly do need a 3rd wide receiver. Braxton Berrios, great guy, dating Alex Earl, lucky for him. Not an amazing wide receiver. Dolphins might need help in that regard. Johnny Newton from Illinois might be another option. Jackson Powers Johnson, center from Oregon, is another target that is caught my eye.
I like him a lot.
You want to talk about the trenches, that's a guy that's going to cover it up, and that would be a huge W if the Miami Dolphins can get it. And speaking of W's, I think it's time to move to our W's and L's, and obviously we have Zeth joining us. I think, Zeth, you should start us off. What's our biggest W of the week?
Well, my biggest W is going to be, that there's going to be hockey in Utah. Maybe not so much of a W for Arizona fans, but Utah is a great fan base. I know people are talking about the market size, but they're very loyal. They've shown that by already selling over 20,000 season tickets, which is crazy. And they have a great owner in Ryan Smith. So I'm excited to see what the Utah hockey team looks like going forward.
My biggest L has to be for the Miami Sharks this past weekend. The Miami Sharks went over to New Orleans and went off against the Gold for a blowout victory, about 27-42. So my biggest W this week, boys, is going to be the Miami Sharks.
Oh, my biggest W, I think I want to bounce it off the topic we started this conversation with, the NFL draft. My biggest W is going to go to the Chicago Bears, because let's just give you a hand. Congratulations. You now have the best quarterback in franchise history. He has not even played a snap in the NFL, but Caleb Williams is so far beyond your expectations for a quarterback. He is, in my opinion, the best prospect I've seen in my lifetime, and I think he's going to be an all-star. I mean, if you've been on the show, you know my admiration for a guy like Caleb Williams. And especially the people on Twitter that don't like him. I won't say what they are, but shout out to them. I do think that the Bears are going to nail this pick, and I think the Bears have surrounded him with enough talent. So that's a huge W for the Bears. Talking about L's, what's your biggest L of the week, Seth?
Well, I just want to say you're putting some lofty expectations on Caleb. I understand he's a great prospect, but let's pump the brakes a little bit. Let these guys, all these rookies come into the NFL, see how they transition. But my biggest L has to be Jonte Porter. I mean, that guy just ruined his whole career in the NBA. Betting against your own team to lose, I mean, what kind of guy does that? And as a teammate, that's not someone you want in your squad. I mean, that guy is an L. He's just such a huge L.
My biggest L is going to have to go to, unfortunately, none other than Tyler Hero. And this actually isn't the first time he's been my biggest L on this show. That was due to health concerns, but now right now it's going to be because of performance issues. He did shoot 4 for 13 from the field and 3 of 9 from 3. He had a plus minus of -12 on the day here in Boston, and that's just not going to get it done. Adebayo needs help, and so do the young guys. They need someone to look up to, and Hero is just not doing that. So unfortunately, Tyler, for this week, you have my biggest L.
If Hero's going to be shooting like that in the playoffs, they might as well give me a 10-day. My biggest L this week goes to the play-in tournament. Play-in tournament obviously was pretty intuitive for the time it came out, but I think we've come to a point where we've sort of outgrown it, especially in the East, where there's not that many dominant teams, and teams like the Bulls and Raptors don't really have a chance of making the playoffs. They shouldn't be in that situation. Both the 7 and 8 seeds in the West and East made it to the playoffs, so I think the play-in's kind of unnecessary, and that's my biggest L. We have to go to break here, but here's what's next on the sideline.
I'm happy it's going down for sure. I want to see Masvidal.
A Miami native stopping by the 305 to hype up a marquee boxing match, and we offer our picks for the upcoming week of sports. We'll take a timeout, and we'll be back in a moment.
Severe weather can strike anytime, anywhere, but there's a simple way to stay safe. Hey, Jim Cantori here. I stay safe in dangerous weather by planning ahead. You can stay safe too with a few easy steps. Build an inexpensive kit with supplies for your family's needs. Write down important information like phone numbers and medications. Always talk with your family and remember any pets in your planning. Be ready, be safe. Start your plan today at ready.gov/plan.
Regarded as one of the more popular names in Miami, native Jorge Masvidal went up through the ranks with a fighting spirit.
And as Sideline's Nicolette Esper reports, the fighter visited the 305 to hype up an anticipated boxing match with Nate Diaz.
Here at Bayside Marketplace on Pier 5, where Miami's Jorge Masvidal announces his coast-to-coast tour, an official rematch with Nate Diaz. Diaz and Masvidal matched up in the 2019 UFC 244 main event, where Masvidal had 2 knockouts against Diaz. Both fighters have a long history in the sport, each known for the relentless fighting style and never say die attitude.
Well, I've seen both of these live in person, and honestly, these two are like dogs. So it's such like a cool thing to see them to continue this legacy. And with gloves on, I think it's gonna be a war. I honestly think it'll be a lot of blood, even though it's boxing gloves. Like, these two just don't stop. So, and you can see post conference, like, I mean, there's respect there, even though both of them are a lot of trash talkers. So you can tell it's gonna be just war.
If you stop the fight, I ain't got nothing to do with them stopping and letting me go. If it's up to me, I go out of my shield or he goes out of my shield. And there's only one way to do, especially when you're competing on these battles.
The energy for Miami-bred Jorge Masvidal was ecstatic as many fans came out to support the representation of their city.
Oh, it feels good. He's representing the hometown. He learned everything from here, and that's what it's all about, baby.
The West and East Coast rivalry has been long-lived among these fans. Many were upset to hear that the fight would take place at the Kia Forum Arena in Inglewood, California, instead of Masvidal's hometown.
I wish it was here in Miami. Would have been crazy at the AAA, BB&T, anywhere. But I'm happy it's going down for sure. I want to see Masvidal fighting always.
Diaz and Masvidal will have a rematch called The Last Man Standing on June 1st, 2024. Viewers can watch it live on FanMio pay-per-view. I'm Nicolette Esper reporting for Kaplan News.
Now we get to go to our game picks. Our first set of games is going to be the Miami Heat at Boston Celtics for Game 2 on Wednesday. Anthony, I think you have a good idea of where I'm heading, but as long as the Miami Heat have Scary Terry in the lineup, I'm going to go with the Miami Heat. I think they competed in the fourth quarter when no one really expected to. People expected a 40-point blowout, but they made it a 20-point game. But what are your thoughts on Game 2 on Wednesday?
I'm going to be realistic with you, brother. I mean, that game last night was brutal for the Miami Heat. They just got dominated on all sense of the word, just dominated in every level of the game. And I predict that more of the same is going to happen, not only in Game 2, but for the rest of the series. I do think Miami can get one game, especially if their guys get back there, get out healthy. the Celtics shot at an incredible clip, 23 made three-pointers. It's a franchise record. I don't think they'll do that, but I do think they will beat the Miami Heat on Wednesday.
Fair enough. Our next set of games is going to be the Florida Panthers and the Toronto Maple Leafs for Game 2. That's going to be on Tuesday. I like the Panthers in this one, Anthony. How about you?
Well, I mean, the Lightning played a pretty solid game in Game 1, but I think the Panthers' aggression is really what's going to come out to play in the playoffs. Obviously, the Lightning have a lot more playoff experience than the Panthers, but I think guys like Tkachuk are going to step up for the Panthers, and I think that they're going to get out of Florida and get out of Amerit Bank Arena with 2 wins on the series, and I think they'll win the game.
The next set of games is going to be the Miami Marlins at the Atlanta Braves. They play Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And then following that, they're going to have the Washington Nationals on Friday. I am not too fond of the Marlins. And now that the fact that they're going against the Atlanta Braves, that does not bode well at all. I'm going to go ahead and take the Braves in that series. And even the Nationals on that Friday night game. How about you, Anthony?
Well, I mean, I think you look at the Marlins, it's just split a 2-2 series with the Cubs. So, I mean, they're playing their hottest ball all year. But is that really saying much? No.
Not necessarily.
Not really. I have the Braves in a sweep. I think the Braves are going to outclass them. I think Acuna is having an incredible start to his season. Do I think he'll repeat as MVP? No, but I do think he's going to have MVP numbers against the Marlins, and I think the Braves are going to sweep.
Just a reminder that if you want to keep up with updates, fun segments, and more from our crew, you can follow our Instagram for all things Sideline. Follow us at sideline.caplin.
That's it for today. I want to give a quick shout out and thank you to everyone on the sideline, the crew behind the camera, and to everyone that makes this amazing show happen. Thank you very much. As you can see by the graduation cap, I am graduating this semester. So quick thank you, quick love to everyone. I'm Anthony Milian.
And I'm Jamie Nunez. I'm actually graduating as well. Shout out to everybody, all the fans, everyone who watches the show, and everyone behind the scenes. Thank you so much. And we'll catch you next season on the sideline.
Peace.